All right, Advanced Computer Science 3 students, welcome to this quick little first lecture on project management. This is not going to get into super detailed explanation about project management. You can actually go and get a full-blown degree plus multiple industry certifications in project management. However, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to project management, some skills that you need to start implementing within your projects. This is going to help you out in not only your jobs, but also in going through some larger projects that you'll see in college, especially if you pursue a technical degree that where your professors are giving you actually something to build, whereas opposed some classes just have you writing papers or doing a bunch of multiple choice tests. So if your experience is like mine in college, you're going to have a situation where you have to do a very large scale project that could basically comprise of an entire semester's worth of work. And I would anticipate that happening. Okay, most of you probably already do this. However, I'm going to give you some definitions on what to expect, and you will be measured on this stuff. Okay, for the interim, this might change based upon whenever this video is being shown. However, you're going to have quizzes. The quizzes are going to come from this presentation. Okay, you're only going to be allowed to use your notes on the quiz. You won't be able to come back and reference the videos. Also, you'll be graded on your time management and also graded on your work breakdown structure. That's this right here, the WBS. Now I'll show you how to make that in a second. You should make that in Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. Either way you make it, you need to have immediate access to it and know where it's located. So that way, whenever we need to pull it up and check it out and see what's going on, you can say, oh yeah, I've got it right here, and pull it right up on the spot. Okay, project definition and stages. All right. So every project that you work on is going to have certain terminology and jargon associated with it. And these people are going to anticipate that you need to know these terms as you go through a project. So that way you can communicate effectively, just kind of like in programming. You know, we say certain things to each other. You know, when we say methods and functions, we're essentially talking about the same thing. Or we say a method takes an argument or a parameter. It's like, in your mind, you already know what that is. However, if you're somebody that is new to programming, you wouldn't understand what we're talking about. Okay, you try to make some sort of associations with math and logic and other things, but it wouldn't quite fit because you don't know the jargon. Same thing with projects. Okay, you got to know the jargon. So 3 components that define a project. Number 1 is your scope. Number 2, your schedule. And 3, your required resources. So the scope is your desired goal to what you're going after. Okay, so whatever it is that you want to go for, like the end goal, the project that this video is associating with now is going to be making a multiple choice quiz software in C# through Visual Studio using the forms builder. Okay, so that's going to be the kind of the scope. Our scope, I defined it in the earlier presentation. That was the scope of the project. Your schedule is going to be what you use to determine your milestones as you go through the project. Okay, some of these are going to be very concrete. You'll be like, oh yeah, I need to build out the layout of the form. I need to test out how to implement data that's coming in from a CVS file, or or if you got something coming in from a database, whatever it is, you're going to have all these different little milestones on your project, okay? And your milestones are going to differ based upon you as an individual. You're not working on teams on this one. Maybe you are working on teams in the future. I can't see into the future right now, okay? But for the most part, if you or your team are working on these work breakdown structures, everyone's going to be different based upon what they see as essential steps that they need to take as they go through this project with their schedules as they put them into the work breakdown structure. Important thing though is you know milestones, and that's going to be tracking your progress as you go forward, okay? If you just have the beginning and the end in mind, everything in between is just kind of loose. That's not good, okay? That is a recipe for failure or poor performance, and we don't want that. We want to make sure you get to the end goal of your project, which means you keep within the scope of the project. Required resources, you won't have to worry about this too much. Your number 1 resource you're going to have to worry about is time and space. How are you going to allocate your time to make sure you can get this project done? And space, where are you going to be working on this project? You're going to be just doing it in the classroom? Do you got a separate workstation set up at your house? Do you got a laptop that you can take mobile with you? where you're going to be working. Do you have internet access? I mean, do you know these things? Are you going to work someplace where you can actually concentrate, or you can be like myself working in some sort of crazy kid trampoline park trying to figure stuff out while a bunch of elementary school kids are running around like maniacs and jumping all over the place? Okay, so where are you going to work? What's going to look like? Okay, money, you don't need to worry about money. All right, this is high school, so don't worry about that. But time and space, what you have and where you're going to do it. All right, 4 stages of project. And these project definitions, just so you know, someone might tell you they're a little bit antiquated. However, anyone that really says they're antiquated are just referencing newer systems that basically just use synonyms of all these terms and concepts, and they just evolve them into a little bit more deeper complexity. So don't think that what we're showing you here is just, outdated. Essentially look at it more along the lines of, hey, these are foundation type mentalities that cross over into every aspect of project management. Project management has not done anything revolutionary outside of this. They might have changed some cycles with scrums and just-in-time delivery systems and a lot of these other performance-based initiatives that maybe shorten the cycles or lengthen the cycles or put extra recursionary progress checks inside these systems, but it's essentially the same. You got a beginning, you got an end. How are you going to get there, and what are you going to use to get there? Okay, that's the foundation blocks. Okay, so 1, starting your project. Figure it out. Right now, you're starting your project if you're watching this video. Okay, you can read through these notes, but like, what is it you're going to be doing a project? Figure it out. Start thinking about your game plan. Okay, it's like, do you even have the skills to start this project? Okay, that's a good question to ask. In this particular project, you probably don't. So what are you going to do to figure that out? Okay, you need to start right here, 3rd bullet point, getting a detailed project plan put together. How am I going to learn these skills? Good news is you can go out there and find these things. Okay, right here on outputs, getting approval, documentation, all those kind of things, I've already set those up for you. So you can almost look at myself as like a general project manager or like a general contractor type person that's going to be facilitating you as a subcontractor or, as an employee that would be going through a project management cycle together as we would work on a larger project. So I guess in the long run, a lot of this has been taken care of or been kind of forced upon you just due to the structure of academics. However, it's good to know this stuff. Organizing, preparing a plan right here. These are things you go through, figure this stuff out, start getting yourself organized. That's what you should be doing right after this presentation. Okay, starting a project, we've already kind of done that. But organizing, that's when we start figuring stuff out. Okay, like I said earlier, you may not even know how to use this software. How are you going to what's going to be your game plan? Right here, that's where you're going to figure that out. We're going to go to YouTube, figure it out. We're going to go see if there's any books in the online libraries that we have available to us. Okay, we're going to ask other people that they might have access to materials that we need to know. All right, next, number stages 3 and 4, carrying out the work. This is where you're going to be essentially doing most of your time. Okay, it's carrying out the work. That's going to be about 80% of the time. Planning, however, that's probably about 15% of the time. Actually, we could change these numbers all around however we want to. We're just making this stuff up. But, carrying out the work, that's going to be the majority of the time. I mean, that makes sense, right? So you want to make sure you are putting a lot of time and effort into that project. Now, right here, here's a big one right here. Avoid scope creep. A lot of you get scope creep. You've done it before. You start working on a video game project. What you originally intended as your project starts to change as you move forward. It may change because you don't really know what you're doing, so you're having to adapt and modify to fit something that meets your time frames and your skill sets. Or maybe you get scope creep because you get new ideas and you see other people doing stuff and you're just like, or maybe you get off track because someone else on your team is coming up with something screwy and y'all didn't have a shared vision because you didn't properly plan at the beginning phases of the project. Whatever it is, you got to monitor and control this and get yourself back on target, because whatever it is that you say you're going to deliver, you've got to deliver that. Okay, you order a cheese pizza and Pizza Hut shows up with a bucket full of hot wings. which I'm not knocking hot wings, but that's not what you ordered. You ordered a cheese pizza, not a bunch of hot wings, okay? That would be scope creep. Closing out the project, okay? That's where you get the whole product finished and delivered and presented, and then see, hey, does this meet your approval? And then you can go forward from there, okay? There's a lot of terms in here. You might want to look up these terms. I might say, hey, what are stakeholders? Okay. Do you know what a stakeholder is? You better figure it out, because I'm going to ask a question like that on the quiz, but I'm not going to tell you right here because I think you can go look up that term on your own. All right. So who are the stakeholders? What's their tie into this project? Okay. You know, what's going on with this project. You may give it to your stakeholders, which could be your customers, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well this isn't really what we want. We kind of changed our mind. Okay. Now you'd be like, oh, well, wait a minute, you changed your mind, which you can say, you're violating the scope creep. That's true, but the customer is the customer, and the customer is always right. And there's ways to mediate this type of discrepancy between your end product and maybe they changed their mind. Maybe you didn't meet their expectations. Maybe it's a low quality product. Okay. From there, you can go on sorts of different avenues. Okay. You may extend the project and go back and revamp it, and they start pumping in more cash to finance the changes that they want to make. Or maybe you didn't follow the guidelines that they set forward and asked for, and so you delivered something that didn't meet their expectations. Now you got to go back and start carrying out the work again to change everything, and you're going to have to not meet the end goals of the project by missing deadlines. It's going to cost you money. They're going to not have to pay as much. You're going to put more money into actually financing the actual time. Okay, but in your project, your time is going to be associated with, you know, you delivering on time, as well as whatever kind of grades you get. Okay, so you can look at your grade as kind of like your paycheck in this capacity. Closing the project, it's an important phase. Make sure you close it out strong, meet the expectations. Last part, work breakdown structure. This is what you're going to make right here. Okay, you're going to make this spreadsheet, so you might want to come back and look at it. It's real easy. We're just going to keep the identification real simple, just number 1 through whatever. Okay, ABC, this is ABC analysis. A, you list it as most important. B, mid-tier. C, lowest level. Okay, and then you get the title of what you're doing. Don't make this like some sort of English paper or research essay or something like that. Just keep it real simple. Team members, you're working on this particular project by yourself, but if you got other team members, put their names or initials or something in there. Then right here, write in your time estimates, and then write your percentage complete as you work towards that. Okay, this project's pretty small, so a lot of these may just, you know, be 0%, then the next day they're 100%, which is cool. You know, that means you're making some progress. Okay, and this may be may seem like it's a bunch of A items, but you could probably think about it, and you're like, well, if I can't do number 2 until I complete number 1, therefore number 2 would probably be a B item. Okay, and here's a little bit more detailed explanation. All right, so right here, say I've got a work breakdown for a project that I'm I'm building out a class for a particular school, and right here, curriculum, team development, these are all my priorities right here. Get all this information done. Right here, like a B item would be marketing materials. So I couldn't really market this particular class I was building out for a school district. And this is actually, well, this work breakdown is not real, but that actual project was real. And so, I couldn't do this, make all the marketing materials, until I had all this figured out, okay? Because this could influence what was going on here with number 7. And the same thing down here with all these other items, like getting advisory panels of parents and stuff like that. Because like if I'm approaching these people and trying to set up training, but I don't know who my teachers are, their skill sets, I don't know what equipment we got, it's really going to be hard to complete these without knowing these details. And that's going to apply to your project as well. Over here you can see the people's initials and the dates. I didn't put the percents because I'm hoping that you're a sophomore, junior, or senior in high school and you know what percents are, and you can probably guesstimate what percentage of completion you are. Okay, don't get all complex, like try to come up with some crazy quantitative algorithm to figure out the percentage of complete. Just kind of guesstimate. All right, so that's the project presentation number 1. Come back and watch this again, and we'll see you in the next video.